STC. Item 1 on the agenda is apologies for absent.
Thank you, Chair. We have apologies from Councillor Nicola Matthews. Thank you.
And then disclosures of personal and prejudicial interests. None. And to approve and sign the minutes of the previous meetings as a correct record, pages 1 to 4, page 1, page 2, page 3, and page 4. Nothing. Thank you. Seconded. Thank you very much. Item 4, straight on to improving public toilets. And Jeff, are you taking this here?
I am, yes. I was going to say I'm afraid to say, but no, I am taking the report. Andy Edwards is the main lead officer from my side. He's off this week, so I'm just, if you like, the sort of strategic lead head of service. So first of all, apologies for not being able to be there in person today. I didn't get the invite till late, so I've had to squeeze this in. I'll go through the report briefly, and then happy to have a much wider discussion with you all about what you're really looking for from an STC perspective. And the report is relatively brief. It does contain a number of appendices in terms of existing strategies, but to summarise, the authority has approximately 23 standalone public toilets, either standalone or within existing facilities. Day-to-day management is undertaken by the cleansing team within cultural services, but the strategic development came out of that report of the strategy in March 2023. Since 2021, the authority spent approximately £1 million on improving those facilities. The majority has been on general day-to-day improvements, which are clearly needed, approximately 600,000 or thereabouts. The other monies have been spent in terms of the council contribution towards larger developments at Rossilli, Narberrock and Caswell, in particular the provision of changing places in these particular locations. We've improved the cleaning regime by having additional resources through the high season, and we try whatever we can to access grants, in particular Brilliant Basics grants, and we will continue to do so. We have a strategic meeting with core officers from across the authority, and we have a stakeholder group that is intended to make sure we have a full understanding of what the public needs are really, and that would include accessibility, tourism, police, etc. It is basically doing the best we can with obviously limited resources. Wherever there's an opportunity to improve or extend facilities, such as the new Restorva development in Oxford Street, there'll be provision there of improved public toilets that will only be accessible, of course, during the opening hours of the building. But every time there is an opportunity to improve, we will. And in all honesty, every time there's an opportunity to pass on that responsibility through a commercial operator, we'll do that as well. And that's been relatively successful over the past few years on occasions, and where other opportunities arise, we will continue to try and do so. But at the moment, there's nothing planned in terms of additional facilities other than to improve the ones we've got. So that's a very brief summary of a relatively straightforward position, but interested to hear what STC's views may be on the whole strategy itself. Okay.
Thank you, Jeff. Any questions?
All right, thanks, Jeff.
Yeah. No, the one for me, do you know, it's got the 130,000 is spent. Is here somewhere, Jeff?
The Brilliant Basic grant.
No, this is the budget for the cleansing side of it.
All right, okay.
Is this a standalone budget, or is it just part of the cleansing budget as a whole?
It's part of core budget as a whole. They would probably identify it as part of the individual cost centres, but no, it's a specific budget. It won't necessarily be taken to cover anything else.
Yeah, which takes me on to Rossilli.
Yeah.
So the Rossilli is being taken over by
National Trust.
The National Trust.
Yeah.
So has that been taken over already?
No, it hasn't. It's an interesting one. We clearly did put quite a fair amount of work in, a lot of work in that, and obviously a lot of the work was undertaken by by grant funding. It's an odd one for us because it's right at the end of the run, if you like, in terms of maintenance. It's a very busy site, isn't it, Rosili? And it's not something that really makes an awful lot of sense for the council to continue to maintain, when most people will probably think they're run by the National Trust themselves. We had a long debate over the years with transference of responsibility, because of course once that's happened, then the council no longer has to continue to maintain and cleanse. So it makes sense to us from a resourcing perspective. And again, because it is right at the end of the run when it comes to cleansing, it means you haven't got somebody who's traveling a long way to just deal with that particular site. So we're still trying to work our way through the mechanics of that. The reason why it was complex was we wanted to transfer by way of a leasehold interest, just to ensure that it couldn't be used for anything else. They were resistant. We are now at a situation where I think it's going to be an outright freehold transfer of land ownership, because we own nothing else around it. We just own that one small toilet block within the confines of that particular site. And we're working on the assumption that if anyone's going to keep the toilets going, it's going to be them, and that's never going to go as a particular use of a site. So we all have confidence in the organisation. It's taken a long time to get the point of moving that on, but we've only recently, it was probably last summer when that was completed. So we're just going through the process now, and that makes sense. It's not dissimilar to what I talked about in terms of other commercial operators, where if someone's got a commercial operation and there is a public toilet next to it, it would make sense for them to run it. Over the years, we've done one at the end of Rotherslade Bay, and also in Southgate, where we pass on to commercial operators, and they quite frankly do a better job than we could, because they're on site and its reputation makes more sense for them. So yeah, that's probably a route we'll take in a few others if we can identify other opportunities. They'll still retain as public toilets, but they'll be run by someone else at their cost.
Yeah, the reason I picked Rosili because I would imagine that would be our dearest maintenance, because they've said it is one of the furthest places away.
No,
and
exactly.
If we could get somebody to run it, then we'd have extra money to spend elsewhere.
Exactly right, yeah. Or just more cost savings we can promote.
Do the National Trust manage this at the moment? Because it does say that on the website.
No, I don't think they do. I think we manage it.
Yeah, but it does say it on the website.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, I think one thing that the committee would push is that we do proceed with this as quick as we can, as long as there's no extra cost to us, which is the main thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the other thing was, when was the last consultation taken? And more importantly, when's the next one due?
I don't know, and I don't know. But if I come back to you on that, is that all right?
Yeah. And if I go on to, here we go. If I go on to the action plan.
Yeah.
On 1.2, it says review the strategy and produce an end of period progress statement, and it's got May 27. So is that a misprint or because
no, it probably would be for the lifespan of the original strategic document.
But this one says strategic action plan, March 23 to March 25.
Right.
So is the next one due then? That's what I'm trying to say. If there's an action plan, it should be 25 to 27, the next action plan.
Yeah, okay. Again, I can't give you an answer to that, sorry, Chair. So I'll come back to you on that specific point. Is that all right if we do it in writing? Yeah.
Because I was going to suggest that the action plan comes back to us if there's going to be a new one.
Yeah, okay.
At the end of March, beginning of April, and then we could have an input into the action plan.
Yeah, and I think that's probably why I was a bit unsure about what the purpose of the meeting was today. But if there is future work to be done, I'd actually agree it would make sense for you to have more of an input in terms of that revised action plan. So I'll come back on that, on the specific point. I imagine the consultation would link into that, because the consultation, if any, that would have been undertaken would have been at the outset of the original strategy. We wouldn't be doing ongoing consultations, I would have thought. But I'll come back and confirm those points if you're okay with that.
Yeah, great. Because if we do a consultation and we go and then other people come in saying we should have a toilet here, there and everywhere, then at least we've got a list now, but that list then will be updated. And if grants come available, we'll be ready to go for, say, 1 or 2 with the grants.
Yeah, absolutely. I think because we do a lot of work with the consultative group at the moment, which meets on a regular basis, we have an idea about where there is a need. And I say when it comes to carers or those with accessibility issues, we're covering what we basically can through that targeted consultation group. And I think that's probably probably the better way to do it in terms of making sure we are identifying where additional provision could be. The reality is, we'd all like more public toilets every couple of 100 yards, because that could be the need that some people may have, but we have to be targeted to make sure that it is in the right place. And we probably wouldn't support going forward one that was within a couple of yards of another just because it's on the other side of the road. And I know we've had some specific questions on some around Victoria Park, for example, that we can't support because we have a provision on the other side of the road in Secrets or 360 as it was. But going back to your point about action plan and consultation, I will come back on those.
Okay. Mike?
Yeah, Jeff, page 25, transfer of assets, the bottom paragraph, it mentions about the public toilets and potential commercial value and being led pastoral management of the facilities. It mentions about Southgate public toilets. Now there are a couple of little sort of the post office and cafe down there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that still arrangement in place? And what was the sort of agreement then regarding the incentive for the business there to look after the toilets? And secondly, the radar, is that the keypad system for these toilets, Jeff?
No, it is actually a radar key. It is actually a key.
It is the key, is it?
Yeah.
The key, is it? Right, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, on that point, I'll come back to Southgate in 2 ticks. The issue with the radar key is, quite frankly, anyone can get one. So there is a bit of a trust issue with it, which is causing us some problems. We've had some particular issues down in Caswell, for example. But that is a national-based system, so you could be a visitor from anywhere. If you need to access a changing places facility or a particularly accessible facility, you just need to have a radar key to do so. But you can buy them in Boots or on Amazon. So that's a quirk of the system, sadly. Yeah, the Southgate situation, I'm not quite sure the nature of the transfer. That probably was a long leasehold. If you can picture it, it's adjacent to the what is a very successful commercial operation. They were transferred the ownership on the basis that they would continue to maintain the public facilities. They had an element of additional land, and they basically did one development over the whole thing. But they have to continue to maintain those public facilities, which they do, and I've visited myself, quite frankly, and they're better than some of our own existing facilities. But that will continue in perpetuity.
Okay, thanks, Jeff.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Last one from me, Jeff. I thought I'd better call Mike in. He may shout that I was asking all the questions.
No, yeah, fair
enough. On the 2 quarterly meetings, one which is the operational working group, and the other one is the stakeholders forum.
Yeah.
First of all, are minutes kept of those? And do they then go? Do they go to the cabinet member so he's aware of everything? Because I know we're not. It's not a statutory duty for us to put in public toilets, but I suppose we'd be quickly criticised if we started closing them.
Yeah, the cabinet member is in attendance for those meetings. He's invited anyway. But yeah, there are minutes, and he will have all copies of those. But he attends most of them.
No, I thank you, Jeff. Nice to know that the cabinet member's up to date.
No, and important and very important, he has to be there as well because he's obviously got a lot of input.
Anybody else? No, nobody online. No, that's all, Jeff. Thank you very much for that.
No, thank you, and apologies for not having all the answers. But you see, I was sort of parachuted into this one slightly last minute, but I'll get those back to you as soon as I can, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, cheers.
Right, item 5, Swansea Local Development Plan. This is Tom. Thank you for coming in on your holidays, Tom.
That's no problem.
Yeah, you look as if you've been in the sun.
I've just come off the beach. I'm in Barbados now.
Okay, Tom, it's all yours.
Okay, thanks, Chair. I'm going to run through just a few slides because I thought that would that would make it easier for people just in terms of summarising a few of the issues. And what I'm going to do is just...
I'm going to jump in here. I've just been kicked under the table by Democratic Services, and they say you can't produce any slides because they're not bilingual.
Oh yeah, they're all bilingual. Don't worry about
that. Well, no, she's putting a thumb up to me, and
Excellent.
so that means I can kick her now.
Oh, don't do that. Yeah.
Okay, Tom.
Useful reminder. Okay, and it's you know, I'll briefly really go through the process because I think members are very familiar with it. There was a presentation to full council on the latest position on the LDP in January. So what I think will be most well, I hope the most benefit for the committee really is to get on to a Q&A session for me to summarise a few of the elements of what I'm going to introduce as being this pre-deposit plan that are particularly sort of important to the theme of the committee. So that's the sort of approach I'm going to take. If I just share on that basis, then. And I will just double check that everyone can see the slides. Okay.
Well, that's great.
Okay. So as I mentioned, it was I think the 30th of January the council approved a number of recommendations. Probably the most sort of fundamental, most important one is to allow the consultation to now happen, a sort of statutory consultation to have, which I'll talk about in a moment, on what they call the pre-deposit plan. So not the detailed plan, which is known as the deposit, but this is the first sort of high-level version of it, which the guidance uses the terminology of the council, clarifying its preferred strategy for that LDP. But council also made some resolutions relating to making a candidate site register available for comment and some other documents as well, including, again, it's a statutory thing, the sustainability appraisal and the habitats appraisal of the document, and I'll briefly mention those. The other thing was about this delivery agreement, and that is in effect a contract between ourselves as a council and Welsh Government as to how this plan is going to be produced, with what sort of resources over what time scale, and there's needed to be an adjustment to that on some of the time scales. So I think what's important to do is just right from the outset a very quick run through of what is this plan about. I appreciate there is so much information for members of the committee to digest, and there's lots of appendices in the report, but the main one referred to in the covering report is this pre-deposit plan, and that's set it out based on engagement work, stakeholder engagement, consultation we've already done over the course of the last 12 months or so, 18 months since this started, to talk to people about what should our fundamental issues be that we base our plan on, what should our overarching land use objectives be for Swansea, what's the kind of scale of growth we should plan for, and this kind of stuff. And we've been doing all of this in the background, including with members, to get to this point where it's set out in the document as to what these proposed elements all are, and this is the place for it in this version of the plan. It really sets the framework, the foundations from which you then produce a detailed plan full of individual policies and proposals, land use allocations, and so on. And I mentioned about those supporting documents, which are available because the consultation has now started. I'll come back to that. That these documents are also available alongside. I mentioned about those first three, but it's also the evidence base as well, which is really extensive. Everything that's in there is has to be based on the relevant information and updated evidence in order for us to put it in there. We've got to justify everything that we say. So there's you'll see an awful lot of background papers that we've produced within the council, and also with consultants, partners, specialists in certain fields. So the consultation itself, all members should have received an email. It would have been earlier in the week, on the Monday, about signaling the commencement of that. It will go on for nearly eight weeks. It's quite a long. We only have to do 6 weeks, but I think that's good to chuck in a little bit more time for everyone on that. And there is all sorts of range of methods which can get people involved, as well as the sort of traditional way of putting posters up in exhibitions, which there'll be one in the central market, a few in the civic centre, but we've also now got a really good virtual room with all that information. I can show you a version of that afterwards. And again, people don't even have to leave their own armchairs to be able to look at all of this sort of information, digest it, and then you can go on to the consultation portals to submit your comments on it. But as I say, there are these drop-in sessions where people can just turn up and just speak to officers and do stuff in person as well. So we're blending the two, really. But there's all sorts of other work with key stakeholders, all sorts of sectors that are involved in delivering development, as well as the members themselves. We have a special member engagement group, cross-party set up to do this. And obviously, I'm coming to committees like this to get your soundings as well, all of which feeds into the process. We've only just begun this consultation, so plenty of time on that. And as I've set out in the report, then what the range of main issues, a number of objectives and strategic policies and components that all come together to form this preferred strategy, this pre-deposit plan. And I've identified in the report, and just summarise there the numbers of them, a few that are particularly based on that theme. I'm obviously not going to go through them all in these, but I've summarised them in the report. And any questions on, obviously I'll take all of those. But you'll see there are so many themes that in land use planning that need to be covered. But certainly economy and infrastructure is right at the core of it all. So its next steps really is the last slide, and just to say that this consultation will be done over the course of that sort of 8-week period, and all the public will be able to submit comments on all of that sort of all the documentation. They'll be widely publicised. The social media will be very active on it. It already is. There's a process of this register that's been produced to the candidate sites. There's a very detailed process of assessment now that goes into all of those sites to see whether or not do they even fit with our new preferred strategy. Are they appropriate for allocation? What's the sort of detailed characteristics of these sites? Are they deliverable? Are they appropriate? And then it's work on getting straight into work on the deposit, which is the detailed one. So the team will move very quickly to that so that we can get in a position next year to submit that detailed plan for inquiry or examination in full public, where everyone can get their views heard. So that is, so stop sharing on that. Just quickly, I did say I was going to show the virtual consultation room for those that haven't seen it, and I will do that. So when you go on a link has been sent to the database to this virtual room, but it's also all the links are there on the web page, and it takes the interested person to it. Just a short welcome message there, really, and this just tells you how to navigate the room, including clicking on a video button on the screen, which gives you a nice little overview of the whole process and what the pre-deposit is all about. So that's really nice. That's on the screen here. If I clicked on that, it would take me to it, but you can see you start there, and you spin around the room. You can read the posters. When you click on it, it takes you towards the, if I clicked on that, it would zoom right in. So it's much bigger print and you can read it all. The main document is there to download, and then you can click on this to submit your comments, have your say. It takes you to the same place. It's the portal where this is done. So these are all the different ways, trying to go above and beyond, really, to get people interested, bring it to life a bit, setting out some of the fundamental elements of the core strategy and the main strategy that the deposit plan is, the pre-deposit plan is based on, and as I say, highlighting exactly how people can go about submitting their comments. So that is where we are, really, with the process. And let's say it's very much now about, although there's been all sorts of engagement already done, and a public consultation. Actually, we've deliberately done that, sort of front loaded it to make sure that when we get to this statutory stage, it's not things aren't a big surprise to people. This has already been out, a lot of these ideas or these options, and now we're presenting what is being put forward as the recommendations for this report. So I'm glad we've done it that way, but it's still the opportunity now over the next couple of months to really get loads of feedback and use that in the production of the detailed deposit plan. So that's it from me, Chair, and I'm available now for any questioning at all about the process or about the details of the plan itself.
Thank you, Tom. 2 questions from me, first of all, before we go into it. It was down there, member engagement group. How does that take place? Is it around a table, or is it virtual, or whatever? And the other thing is, the virtual room. I've got the virtual room, but I haven't got anything else to click on. So I don't know if that's my computer or what. I'll have to go back and check on that. So I don't know if anybody else has witnessed the same.
Okay.
So nobody's saying anything. So what about the member engagement group first? How does that?
Yes,
how is
just
that
on the
work?
virtual room. First of all, I haven't had anything coming back yet to say that it's not working, and the team are continually liaising with the provider on it, to make sure everything's operational. So yeah, if you get any more problems, then please do contact me or the team, and they'll see if it's an IT issue with yourself. But yeah, all appears to be working. And then the member engagement group, it meets. It's met in exactly that room you're all in now. It's also met in other committee rooms in the Guild Hall, and so it's all been in person so far. There's either been 3 or possibly 4 meetings already. There's another one already diarised during the course of this consultation, and there'll be another one leading up to the deposit.
If I can butt in, Tom, that's the working group.
Yeah, we call it the engagement group.
Is that the same? Is that the same group as members engagement group?
That's the title of it, the member engagement group. That's what we've always called it, and it's cross-party. We had nominations.
Oh, right. I just thought it was all councillors. Okay.
Oh.
Right.
Sorry, I missed that then, Chair. You thought it was...
No, I just got mixed up. I thought it was called a LDP2 working group.
Okay. But
no,
when
I seen members engagement, I was thinking all members. Silly me.
No, it's that one that's got selected representation, so that we can do exactly that, kind of get around the table. All groups kind of feed into their representatives, then want to get across. But as well as that, obviously, all members can get involved in the consultation direct, and if there are particular issues you want to talk about in respect of the plan, then the team is always there to have a Teams call or whatever it is, or obviously those drop-in sessions if you want to come in face to face, do that as well.
Okay, thanks. Any questions? No. Thank you again, Tom. If anybody wants to read this document, don't take it on holidays unless you're going for a month. Obviously, I was drawn to paragraph 6, which is the economy and infrastructure themes, which I think are very good for moving the City and County of Swansea forward, because it says about the regeneration and transformation development. Some of it is going ahead. We got the city deal and things like that, and then improving the overall vitality and vibrance of Swansea. These are things that have got to be in place, and the LDP helps this along. Also, on page 43, mentioning that tourism and leisure culture. This again is the backbone of the City and County of Swansea, and what we're trying to do in most committees I've been on is not keep it seasonal. We want it all year round. People to come to Swansea, and this helps quite a lot. Because on the last 3 words, which is most vital to Swansea, says an increased overall spend, which everybody will be happy with there. Reading on the objectives, to improve and expand diversity, the county all year round, which I've just mentioned, and also we're not to forget the district centres as well. These are important, and I believe that if we got a vibrant city centre, I think that then overflows into the district centres, because many years ago we've done a piece. I can't remember what we were called then, but it wasn't STC, CDC, something else. Yeah, and yes, and it did say that when Swansea was vibrant, so were Mumbles, Killay, Clydach, Pontylice, Gorsainon. There was a knock-on effect for everything, and that's what we want to see back in our communities. I don't think there's anything we can add to bring it forward, because I think you've done everything you possibly can. And I've got nothing else to add, so I don't know if anybody else has. No, Tom, you've picked a good committee here.
Well, that's not bad at all. But if anyone does during the course of this 6 to 8 weeks now, as I say, during this consultation, and even after that, as we go through it, there is that feeding through the engagement group, the member engagement group, but also, as and when there's particular elements of the plan itself, or then when we get into the next stage of going into the more detailed policies and so on, then where we are.
Okay, don't see anybody else. So thank you, Tom. Another excellent performance by you. You must know this off by heart now.
Right.
Okay, we look forward to the next stage.
Will do. All the best. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okie doke. So moving on to the work plan, which isn't much left in that now, is there?
No. The items.
Let me get it back. So we're in 10th of April. So we got a review of the Swansea Bay strategy. That's Jeff coming back to us with Mr. Phil Holmes again. And then the Tower Riverside strategy update. And we've asked, can't remember his name. Yeah, we've asked Steve Smith to come along with the presentation he gave to planning, which was excellent. So he's agreed to come along and give that presentation about the engine shed, the engine house, whatever you want to call it. Musgrave as well. So he's going to come along to give us that presentation on how we're moving forward on the Copperwork site, which is very exciting. And the annual report, which Phil is going to write.
I will,
which he's just found out.
No, all in hand, Chair. Thank you.
Well then, thank you very much. Right, so there's nothing else. Nobody else wants to come in. Okay, I'd like to thank everybody for attending, and those that have sent in apologies. Thank you.